We're getting into the good stuff here. So the first one is somewhat philosophical, right? It's important, but I think you gotta have all of those foundational cultural aspects, the principles, all of that stuff, which isn't sexy and like doesn't make you a ton of money right off the bat. But if you have those things and you're clear on who you are and what you stand for, then all the rest of it becomes easier. So pillar 2 is setting up your business like a business. And this is another thing that a lot of real estate agents get into the business and just think it's gonna be a job where I show up and hopefully I show property and hopefully I get a listing, and like they never actually treat it like a business. And I've seen quote unquote successful agents, right? They do 15, 20 million a year for 15 years. That's what they do. And that's cool. If that's like what your goal is, that's cool. But you don't really have a business. You just have a job that you're good at, right? So you got to make the decision from going from job to business and setting your business up like a business. And a saying that I love that's related to this is you can have 10 years of experience or you can have 1 year of experience 10 times in a row. And you got to be intentional about, like, am I living the same life over and over and over and over again? Because a lot of people do. And again, if that's your goal in life, that's cool. I'm not, criticizing you. But, I can look back and I mean, the last 5, 6, 7 years have been wildly different year after year, but it's because of growth and it's because of intentionality and wanting to continue to develop and get better. So think about what you're doing. You got to build and hire for where you're going and not where you're at. This is a huge thing that agents fail at is, I'm not going to hire an assistant until I really need one. I'm not going to create that system until I really need one. I'm not going to invest in that piece of software until I really need it. And you never get to the point where you really need it because you never invested in it in the first place to use it. And so every single stage of our growth has been uncomfortable. It's been expensive. It's been a risk. We always did things before we needed it. And that's something to think about is you cannot wait till you need the assistant to hire the assistant. You got to do it before so the assistant can free up your time to work on your business, do all of these other things and continue to grow and scale. So think about that as build for 5 miles down the road. Don't build right in front of you, right? Right in front of you, you're going to deal with. It's okay, but you got to build for where you're going and not where you're at. I'm writing down your plan. I have a lot of write stuff down. So I have the most craziest Google Drive you guys ever seen. I have notes and documents and spreadsheets. I mean, every crazy idea that comes in my head, I write down, and sometimes it goes nowhere, but you gotta put it down into a plan and include everyone on the team, no matter what size it is, and include your family. My wife has always been a part of our business planning, even before she was a part of our business. Like, we would do yearly family goal setting. My kids have done it since they were like 5 years old and they could even conceive it, but this is something that like doesn't happen in a vacuum, right? Your success in business doesn't happen just during 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Like, it happens 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So include your family in it, include anybody else who's important to you, and include your team. Like, our team we do 6 goal setting sessions all across the state in December, and we individually goal set, but we collectively goal set. So there's a collective understanding of where we're going and what we want to do. And I'm very clear, about what our big picture goals are, so everybody knows where they fit into that, and whatever level they want to contribute to it, I'm okay with, but we have that conversation and it's very open and transparent. Okay, so big picture business planning. This is going to get into some nitty gritty stuff here, right? So who understands what total addressable market is? Anybody? So this is a super important concept, right? What is the total addressable market in Hawaii real estate? You don't have to know the number, but what would that be? What would that thing be? The total addressable market in Hawaii real estate. Transactions, right? How many transactions happen? Who knows how many transactions happen in 2024 in Hawaii? 14,500. So it's about 30,000 is your total addressable market, right? You have 30,000 opportunities to have a transaction. Does that make sense? Okay, so we're going to dig further into this in a little bit. But you should decide what share of that market do you want to own. Whether it's statewide, I had a girl on our team decide that she wanted to own 8% of the condo sales market just in Kona, and she did the numbers, and it would equate to $250,000 a year in commissions. Small, right? Like super small specific goals. 8% of the condo market in Kona. But if you take up total sales and all the dollar volume and you figure out what is 8% of those sales, it was like 17 or 18 transactions, and you total up the commissions, you run the numbers. So be specific about what your market is. Like, is it small? Is it a segment of the market? Is it a geographic area? Like, what is that? For me, told everybody this year, my goal is 10% of the Hawaii market. I want to do 1,400 transactions across the state, right? So that's big picture. But understand what your total addressable market is, because if you're going after a crazy small segment of the market that doesn't really exist, I keep making fun of this, you guys, but everybody gets mad at me. VA assumable loans. Who likes the VA assumable loans? And there's like marketing and all this kind of stuff. It's like a small, tiny niche market. Like if that's what you're spending all of your time and your energy on, you're gonna be broke this year. Like don't do that. Like people are spending all this time like trying to find VA assumable listings and buyers, and like at the end of the year, there's gonna be 10 in the whole state. Like is that the market that you wanna go after? And you gotta ask yourself that, be deliberate and smart about it. But this is the kind of stuff that holds people back, is they don't understand what the total addressable market is and then address their priorities accordingly. Make sense? Okay. So then you figure out, I'm not gonna go through business planning with you guys because you can go to do this online or whatever, but then you figure out, okay, what is the total number of transactions and the total dollar volume in the share that you want to own, and that'll tell you what your income is. And then what actions do you gotta do on a daily basis? I love the rule of 5, right? If you have 5 quality real estate conversations per day, 25 per week, 100 per month, that'll equate to 1 transaction per month. So if you do nothing else, you take nothing away from this, and you're wondering, how do I do 1 transaction a month? You gotta have 5 quality real estate conversations a day. That's 5 questions asked and answered, or 5 minutes back and forth. That's it. That's all you gotta do. You can just go home now, right? And if you just scale that up, if you wanna do 2 a month, then you do 200. If you wanna do 3 a month, then you do 300. But that's really all it takes, is having quality real estate conversations. How you do that is totally up to you, whether it's online leads or door knocking or holding open houses or whatever. There's a million ways to do that. But this is how you can figure out, okay, what are the individual actions? Like I know how many leads we gotta generate statewide to hit our goals, right? And I gotta figure out how am I gonna generate those leads, and how much is that gonna cost, and how much are we gonna get from each source, so we can drill deep into that business planning. But we gotta know first, what is our total addressable market and what do we wanna own? What do our goals look like? Okay, so building systems. And again, this is not sexy, this is not exciting. I hate to break it to you, but if you want to scale anything, you got to have systems. People that say, I don't like systems, and I don't like, organization and processes and stuff, like you cannot scale. It's just not going to happen. So templates. If you do something once, you should never do it a second time, right? If you write an email to your client on escrow is opened, that same email can be sent to every single client that you ever open escrow with. You should never type that email out twice. That's everything that you possibly do in life. Like anything that you can create a template for, you should create a template for. Again, it takes time. It takes a little bit of effort up front, but the dividends on the back end are huge. Contract writing. Like who takes like more than 30 minutes to write a contract? Anybody? Y'all are lying, right? Because I know how long it takes you guys, right? It should take like 7.5 minutes to write a contract. If you have templates and you have a process and you have a reference document that you can cut and paste from, like it should not take 30, 40. I mean, I've had agents tell me it takes 3 hours to write a contract. I'm like, what are you doing? Like that doesn't make any sense to me. So templates are the first thing. Is everything you can do that's redundant, start identifying it and build templates for it. Standard operating procedures. This is something like a military concept. The military is full of idiots, right? Like young idiots that don't know how to do anything and have no life experience. So what do we have? Super detailed standard operating procedures on how to do everything, like how to turn on the blinker on your truck, right? Like stuff like that. And we think it's funny, but like real estate agents aren't that much smarter than privates in the military. So like we just, and this isn't about intelligence, it's just about any time something is new to you, like you don't know what you're doing, right? The fool always precedes the master. And if you expect somebody that's either new to the industry or new to your operation to do things the way you want them to be done, you have to have documentation on how to do that. And it's gotta be very detailed, and it's gotta be step by step, and you have to do it. So this is hard to do, but just think about, if you want somebody to help you put listings on the market, you need to go step by step on what your priorities are, what your expectations are, how you do things, the link to this vendor, the phone number to this person, like all of that stuff. How do you want the file labeled in your drive that you put the pictures into from the photographer, right? Like down to that level of detail so you can scale that. Because if you do it for one person, you can do it for 100 people, and that first effort pays off hundreds and hundreds of times over. So SOPs is huge. We have tons of these, and you can look at our website. There's absolutely one for everything. Like there's no reason why you should have to wonder about what to do, right? And anything that we miss, we build, because I just know how important this is. So think about this, SOPs, SOPs, SOPs. And then from an SOP, you get a checklist, right? So an SOP is a very detailed, long document, could be 10, 15, 20 pages, because it's very detailed with instructions. Once somebody does something a couple of times, then they just need a checklist, right? So a single page that has what you gotta do and just check it off a list. You don't have to have everything written out every single time. So checklists are super important. And this is a total elephant, you guys, but the only way we eat an elephant is one bite at a time. So this is overwhelming. I can tell you the first system that I had was a contract writing system. When I very first started, I took we used to have manila folders in a big file cabinet. And this was 2015, so it was like the internet age, but this is a Coldwell Banker, right? So I went and I took the last 15 closed files and I looked at every single contract and I was like, seller's disclosure is the same every single time. So I can put 5 in seller's disclosure and use that every single time. Or J1 is pretty much 14 days every single time. So I went through and I wrote myself a document, so I had a reference document for contracts. We still use it to this day. The state brokers adopted it and now use it statewide. But that's how simple a system can be, is think about what you need for yourself to create consistency in your life and your business, and then just build that for other people. So one thing at a time, right? One a week, one a month, whatever it is. What we have today looks very complex, but it started off very, very simple. And it just develops over time. So don't be overwhelmed by this. A lot of times people see the finished product and how big it can be, and they're like, I don't even want to get started. But if you want to grow, you look back 5 years after being consistent about this, and it's amazing how far you come, but you got to start someplace, and you just got to take it one step at a time. Okay, meetings, lots of meetings. There's a lot of like conventional wisdom stuff in here that I definitely don't believe in. And one of the things that I always hear from agents is, I hate meetings, I don't want to come to meetings. I've literally been told that like during the interview process. And guess who comes to all the meetings? That same agent, right? Because if you provide value at meetings and you provide connection at meetings, it's a way to build your culture, but it's a way to keep people connected and moving in the right direction. So whether it's a meeting with your team or a meeting with yourself, like who schedules meetings with themselves? I do all the time. I can show you my calendar. Like my calendar is booked up because I schedule time with myself, right? I needed to finish my stuff for my taxes. So I booked a 2-hour block last week, Thursday, and I told my CPA I'm gonna get it to you by Thursday afternoon because I booked time and I knew I would get it done. So whether it's with your team or with yourself, like use your calendar and be disciplined about the meeting that you book, and actually do the thing you said you were gonna do, whether it's prospecting or building a system or making phone calls, whatever it is, but book lots of meetings. A consistent schedule. So this is pretty basic, right? But I think this is a failure of many real estate agents, is that they just live a wild life. Like they wake up in the morning and they just figure out what's gonna happen, and somebody calls them and they jump and they do that thing, and there's no consistency in what they do. And so this is the only way to get consistent results is to have consistent inputs, right? So think about how can you be consistent. I know 17 Wednesdays from now what I'm doing at 10 a.m. Because it doesn't change. Every Wednesday is the same. And if you have something that's important, it's got to be damn better important than what I have planned at 10 a.m. because I can do you at 11 or 12 or 1 or whatever it is. So be consistent and be disciplined about your schedule. In our team, we have 6 to 8 hours of available trainings and meetings per week. On Mondays, we have a transaction meeting, a meet with a TC meeting, a foundations meeting, database power hour. Tuesdays, we have a scripts call. Wednesdays, we have our sales meeting. Thursday, we have in-person meetings at all the different islands. Fridays, we have leadership meetings, mentorship meetings, and agent attraction meetings. Like every single week, all of this happens, and none of it's mandatory, but the agents who need help in those areas or need support in those areas have a standing place where they can go. And this is a scalable way to support a lot of people. If you're trying to individually help people one by one whenever that they need it, you'll drive yourself crazy, you don't have enough time, and you will let them down and they will let you down. If you have a question about the database, at 11 a.m. you show up to Kelly's meeting at 11 a.m. and our database expert is there to answer all your questions, give you training, tips and tricks, and it just becomes culturally ingrained in people that if I have trouble with the database, that's what I show up to. And you can scale that, right? Now we have 30, 40 people that attend that meeting every week, and we have consistency across how they operate because they know that I don't have to individually field database questions from people. And this is super, super important. So you, as a leader, have to start with consistency and create that for everybody else. And then it's scalable over a long period of time. And it's very manageable. And it's really the only way that you can manage a large organization is to have a consistent schedule. There's that's an example of our meetings. And we kind of have I believe if you show up, you succeed. I mean, there's two indicators of success that I see with agents on our team. Is one, the ones that show up consistently to everything are successful, and the ones who spend the most time in the database logging activity are the most successful. Like, that's it. Like, if those two things happen, I can almost guarantee. I was just showing the team upstairs our leaderboard in Follow Up Boss that tracks your activity, and like the top 15 people are all 100K plus earners, and it's not surprising. Like, they're in the system, like making phone calls and booking appointments and sending text messages, right? Like, not super complicated, but they're doing the thing, so they're successful. All right, so who has heard, if it's meant to be, it's up to me? I don't really think that's true. That's kind of true, only, right? The growth of a business, a big business, like, you can have all the systems in the world and all of the culture in the world, but if it's you by yourself, like, it's never gonna get big, right? It's never gonna grow. And so it's not totally up to you, it's who, not how. So this is one of maybe, I'll never win the lottery, but I've won the lottery in the who, not how race in life. Like, I married an amazing person that's helped grow our business. My brother is an amazing person. You don't get to pick your siblings, but he's an amazing person that helped me build the business. I've had amazing people come in at the right time to help us build the business. So this is a big one, is like not figuring out on your own and finding the right person that has the skill set to help build what you're trying to do and fill in your weaknesses. And so Traction is an amazing book. Who's read Traction? Man, you guys, write Traction down and read Traction. Read 10x is easier than 2x. So the summary of Traction is there are basically two kinds of business leaders, right? There's visionaries and there's implementers. So the visionary is the person that has the vision. Everybody understands that. But most visionaries suck at actually implementing their vision, right? And actually carrying out the plans and the things that got to get done to carry out that vision. And so if you are a visionary, you have to look for an implementer. And that's priority number one in growth. If you're an implementer, you need to understand that you are an implementer and then attach yourself to a visionary. So nobody is more important than anybody else in this, but you have to know who you are in that and what your skill set is, and then marry yourself up with the right people to do the things that you're not necessarily good at. It is not your skill set. There's a joke on our team, like, my vision is to jump off the cliff and then build the plane on the way down, right? Like, I'm all about just like going for it, taking risks. Like, I don't really, done is better than perfect is one of my favorite sayings. Like, my done thing will beat your perfect thing that you didn't do every single day of the week. So luckily I have lots of amazing implementers that can take the crazy ass vision and actually bring some structure to it and slow me down and actually start implementing stuff. So that's a huge one, is finding those people and looking for those people, because a lot of times what we do is we look for ourselves in business partners. We want somebody who's just like us, who works just as hard as we do, who has the same values as I have. And that's not necessarily the person that you need, right? So you gotta be open to finding other folks. And definitely on our team, some of our most amazing leaders and assets on the team are like not people that I would have stereotypically thought would be that person if I was to judge them just when I first met them. So be open to that, be open-minded, and then hire for where you're going and not where you're at. This is always, we talked about this earlier, but every time I committed money and resources to somebody else, it never felt good. It always felt too expensive. And then I made like 3 times the amount of money the next year, and it like made sense. But it never feels good, but you gotta commit to hiring that VA, hiring that assistant, hiring a showing agent, whatever it is. I committed 10% of all my income to my brother before he even got licensed. And if you get your license and you help me, whatever I sell, I'll give you 10% of. And I've done that to this day. And guess what? My brother will do anything for me, right? Like he will drop everything, he will do anything because he knows that I've been invested in him since day one. And same thing with our database. Our database manager, I told her, hey, when she started, I'll give you 5% of everything that we pull out of this database. She makes like 200K a year now by doing that, right? Like, but she had to put the work in, and she had to take a risk, right? And just believe that I'm invested. And I'm gonna talk about employees versus partners here in a second. But build for where you're going and not where you're at, and commit some of your resources to the people that'll help you grow. And then start with trust. It goes back to the scarcity and the abundance mindset. Like, so many people are untrustworthy of the people that they hire or that they go to partner with, and it just starts off as a toxic relationship. I'm just a 100% trusting person until you give me a reason not to. So the default will be 100% trust. I will give you all the rope in the world until you screw me, and for some reason, I rarely ever get screwed, right? Like it's when you're suspicious of people and you don't trust them that you end up getting screwed. So it goes back to that mindset of abundance versus scarcity. But if you can start with trust and a foundation of trust, everything gets stronger. And I talked about this already, but don't look for yourself. Look for who you're not and be humble about that and understand who you need. And then partners versus employees. So this is I don't know. I always say, like, I don't know if my way is the best way. There's 100 ways to do what we've done, but like we have no employees. So we run a 900 unit a year real estate business, and I don't have any employees. I mean, I have like a couple VAs and stuff like that, but like there's no sales manager. I mean, there is a sales manager, but everybody gets paid on commissions. So everybody gets a piece of the business. And so everybody is interested in the outcome of the business, right? So if you're gonna hire somebody for 20 grand a year or 50 grand a year or 100 grand a year, like that's what they're gonna work for, is whatever they're guaranteed. But if you give them a piece, you also find the right people, right? Like I don't want somebody who wants a job. I want somebody who wants to take a risk and help me grow something amazing. And the people that are interested in doing that will be attracted to this opportunity, not to the opportunity of a salary, right? So when you try and hire the cheapest possible employee, that's what you get, and you get frustrated and you say, this sucks and I don't want to manage people, but sometimes it's the mentality of partnerships are always stronger. So think about that when you're growing and you're hiring is look for partners and give them a piece because they'll help you grow it and they're going to have a vested interest in the long-term success of what you're doing. Okay, we good so far? I know I'm going fast. Any questions? This is going to get crazier, you guys. How are we doing on time? How are we doing on time? This is just a picture of our team on all the different islands. Super fun people. All right. Systems, okay, leveraging tech. So this is another objection I get from agents all the time, and then I just like offend them. You know, if you say I don't like technology and you're a real estate agent, go get a different job. This is a tech-based business. I hate to break it to you, but you will not survive long-term or scale your business if you cannot leverage tech. And I personally didn't own a computer until I was 23 years old. So I'm not like some computer genius that like grew up in the computer age. Like I'm actually pretty old. So I believe that anybody can learn to leverage technology. And I've seen agents on our team who are in their 60s who are not good at their Gmail, and we get them into being a complete expert on the database, and they absolutely crush. So I do not accept that anybody cannot learn technology, right? That is a limiting self-belief that you have that you need to get over because it's not true. So this is just a quick example of our tech stack, but we highly leverage tech. KV Core is a database lead gen and lead conversion program that our company gives us. We just transitioned to FUB late last year because I finally came to the painful realization that to get to the next level, what we had, our tech stack wasn't going to be sufficient. And so we went through still going through to this day, a very painful transition into a whole entire different tech stack. But FUB is amazing so far, and a good solid database is foundational, right, to any real estate business. So you got to have that. Wailopu is a website. It does search alerts. It does retargeting via social media and Google. So that's an integration into FUB. Fellow is a seller property reports and lead gen system. This will take the leads that you already have in your database and match that data with public records and tell you who in your database is a homeowner. Like, who thinks that's freaking cool? Like, I was like, man, I didn't know that was a thing, but it turns out, like, in our 50,000 person database, we have like 15,000 homeowners that I didn't know about that are now going to be our seller lead generation focus, right? So Fellow's super cool. SkySlope is transaction management. That's provided to us for free, but that's huge if you don't have a transaction management platform. I mean, you can't manage a high number of transactions. Google Workspace, everything we do is built on Google Workspace. So Google Drive, Google Sites, Google Docs, Forums, Gmail. Chat is a huge function inside of Gmail where we have chat groups within the team that can communicate with each other and send quick messages and stuff. So, and then Canva, Redx, Mojo, we have a bunch of other things. Canva, we don't know what Canva is, right? Graphic design. And then Redx and Mojo are additional data companies that will give you like expireds, FSBOs. If you just want to look people up, they have contact information for homeowners. But the big lesson here is don't be wed to any one system. I used to be a Sisu, yeah. I used to be a Sisu user, ended up becoming too expensive. I couldn't get agents to adopt it, so we got rid of that. We did a huge database change and website change. So at some point, your tech, you may outgrow your tech, or there may be something better. So that's something to always just be aware of is like, am I using the best thing? Because, we still get the agent that like shows up and is using like roadrunner.com email, and I'm like, okay, it's time to move into, it's 2025, and we got to get a Gmail account. Like, you can't use Roadrunner anymore. But that's the thing, like be conscious of like your tech stack and what you're using, and maybe it's time to move on and upgrade. And then all of this stuff is expensive, you guys. Like at the end of the day, the leverage you get from it far outweighs the cost. But I mean, we probably spend like $5,000 a month just on tech. But you have to do that if we're gonna continue to grow and scale, and the return on investment is gonna be huge.
AI is the next thing.
Huh?
AI.
Oh, and AI, so yeah, we won't even get into AI, but I absolutely love ChatGPT. So, all right, so the question here, guys, right, is that you all have systems, and not having a system is a system, right? So you gotta decide, like, what is your system gonna be, and then is it scalable? This is the most important question, is like, I always run into folks that like have some type of system that's like only they understand or they can use, right? So that's not really a system, that's just like your own personal thing that you do. So think about like, is what I'm doing scalable? I mean, it's the same as like baking cookies, right? Like if your grandma knew a secret recipe off the top of her head, that's cool, but you're never gonna start a cookie company off your grandma's recipe in her head. Like you gotta have a system, right? Exactly what the measurements are, how long to bake it for, all of that stuff. So always examine, like, is this thing scalable? Can I deploy this amongst many people and have them all use it and use it efficiently? And it's hard sometimes because it can be deceiving, but it's always a good question to ask in all of your systems and everything that you do, your tech, your processes, your checklists, your SOPs, all of that, is it scalable?